Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Austin the Stache with you with a very special guest, Mr. Bartholomew, the superintendent. Should I say doctor?
Please call me Mitch.
Okay, Mitch. Perfect. I know there are some people that as they continue to grow in their field, if you leave out the doctor, they get a little annoyed.
Sure. No, please call me Mitch.
Absolutely. Mitch is here to talk about a plethora of things, but most importantly is that starting on Wednesday, the 7th, is new teacher orientation for York Public Schools. So pretty big day coming up.
It is. It's a huge day. It's a huge day for them. It's a huge day for us. As one of the things that we look to do is we want to retain people, and we're still firm believers in first impressions. And so, obviously that first impression with our new teachers came when we interviewed them. That kind of started that. But the reality is that first day, we have kind of refocused and readjusted, a few years ago. And we're proud of that change, and we've gotten some good feedback from the past couple of years. Because we want to make sure that they know that they made a great decision to join our team. And so on. And so we do a lot of things on that first day to make sure they have a great first day.
Nice. So first off, how many new teachers are there for York this year?
Right. So this year is 7.
Not a small amount.
Yeah, no, we'll go. For York, I suppose it's a little bit streaky. We've had years where it's 2 to 3, and then kind of that middle 4 to 5, 6 to 7, and so on. We've had years where it's 8 and 9, so it really just kind of depends. We have seen more and more teachers retire, I suppose these last X number of years, X being probably even more than 5. And so obviously, then you've got to replace them, those type of things. And so it really kind of depends really on how many are retiring, because we traditionally don't add a good number of new positions per year. That's on a limited basis. And so on. This year we were able to add 2. But again, it's more about who's retiring,
right?
And then how do you fill them?
Right, absolutely. And so these are new teachers to York Public School. Are some of them first-year teachers? And how does that work as a first-year teacher versus someone coming in with some experience? Yeah,
we have a wide variety. This year, we only have 1 that will be in their first year, all the way up to, I'm trying to think, I think our new math teacher, I think, is up around 14 to 15 years, somewhere in that range. I don't have that in front of me. But everything in between. And so, in York, we have been really have had the opportunity over the years to hire some really good experience. And we prefer that, Now, that's not to say that a rookie or a first year won't get the job, those type of things. But we are firm believers that, classroom experience does give some an advantage as they come in and talk about, how they relate to kids and, what opportunities they give them and then how they add value to our team. And when you can talk about things that they have accomplished and things that they've done, versus that first year person, where it's all still a lot of theory and possibilities, and so on. But it really just depends on your pool that you have in front of you. And that's one of the biggest changes that we have seen, especially in the last 5 to 7 years, is unfortunately the desire to become a teacher, unfortunately, is becoming less and less. And there's a wide variety of reasons for that. And so like I said, we've had to adjust, and schools and different organizations have had to adjust in how they look at hiring. What do they do? How do they look at retaining? How do they look at recruiting? And so on, because back in 1998, when I graduated from college, it was truly on the education side. You opened up the Omaha World-Herald, and they had a classified section for jobs, and there was a huge education portion to it.
Yeah.
And I was an English teacher. And so I recall looking at the different jobs that I knew that were available through the paper, and that was it. There was no online.
No Indeed, nothing like that.
Nothing at all. And, I recall seeing 2 to 3 positions that I thought were attractive locations. I knew a little bit about them as schools in general. But then you fill out a random application and you hope somebody sees it.
Yeah.
Now that's changed a ton. We don't even advertise in a paper anymore when it comes to a teaching position. It's all online.
Right.
Our application is online. We get it instantly. There's all kinds of communication during that process, and so it's evolved, and it's evolved for the better.
In that same vein, kind of a question, because obviously teachers are needed everywhere. That is a common theme, is that teachers are needed. Was York able to fill all of those positions that you were hoping to fill, or is still missing a couple pieces? And what does that look like?
Yeah, we were not able to fill 2. We were not able to fill a middle school English position, and we were not able to fill a high school Spanish. And so in both situations, we've had to get creative. And so our middle school English, we have a sub situation that is going to come in at least for first semester. And we're already advertising to fill that for second semester. And so we're hopeful that we can hopefully catch maybe some rookies that are going to student teach first semester. And that would be looking for, a full-time teaching position for second semester. Our high school Spanish situation is unique. That is a position across the state and beyond Nebraska that there's just not a lot of Spanish teachers out there. They're not coming up through the education colleges, educational programs, and so on. And so our friends to the north of Cross County, they also had a resignation. And so they ended up filling their position with the teacher that resigned who moved to South Dakota. And what they did is they contacted her after advertising and not getting any applications. They contacted her to see if she would be willing to teach those courses online. So almost kind of
interesting
distance learning, those type of things, and which distance learning has evolved big time over the years.
Yeah, especially very rapidly in the last 5.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So when we got to the point late in the school year, and we'd been advertising for months, calling around to all the colleges, and trying to recruit ourselves, we had no apps. And so we reached out to Cross County, and we're very appreciative of their flexibility to partner with us. And so at the end of the day, what we came to an agreement with them is they went back, Brent, the superintendent up there, went back to his board and asked if York, they are willing to pay for some of her contract. And so we have an agreement between the two of us that she's going to teach some courses online for Cross County and some for York. And so she'll be here approximately once a month in person to meet the kids and those type of things. And so ideally, we have our own.
Right.
And ideally that person is day after day, forming relationships with our kids and so on. I'm confident there's going to be good aspects to this, but I'm also confident that there's going to be snags and, things that we didn't anticipate. Sure. Some days technology will not be our friend.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so we just need to, as a leadership team, we just need to make sure that we, you can only think about so many things, and anticipate so many things. And so we're prepared for that, but there's going to be some snags here and there that we're going to have to figure out as we go.
It's all about being reactionary and flexible and doing what's best for the kids.
It is, and honestly, only talking about 2 positions, actually, we feel fortunate because we know of schools in Nebraska, now they're the bigger schools, that in just one building, they're missing 15. 17, 20, and 25 teachers that they can't fill. So
really puts into perspective, like,
it
okay,
does.
we got 2 teachers that we can handle this.
Right.
You know,
Right.
That it really puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
but back to the topic at hand.
Yep.
Wednesday, first day for new teachers. What does a day like that? I know that you mentioned that you've really changed things up. What did it used to look like, and what does it look like now?
Yeah, the YPS leadership team, we're firm believers, and first of all, in leaders read. Okay, and so this is where this idea came from, and so we were the book, The Power of Moments. Okay, and there's a chapter in there, and I would suggest this for leaders and that are listening to this of any organization. It doesn't have to be a school. It's a great book, a lot of great ideas. One of the chapters in there talked about the John Deere story, and how at the corporate office, wherever that is, I forget, wherever that is, they as a new employee came in, they basically set them down at their desk and had a stack of paperwork in front of them and said, your first day is filling out this paperwork. And so that a new employee would do that, and they would go home. Well, over the years then, when John Deere would survey basically their teams or employees, I believe within it was, what was your worst day at John Deere?
Oh, and they all said their first day?
Their first day.
Yikes. Not a great way to start off.
And as I agree. And as I read that, I thought to myself, oh boy, we're doing that.
Ooh.
Right? Because our first day.
Don't you hate it when you read something and it's just a mirror?
Right. Our first day, what we did is, of course, we welcomed, and so on. But really our first day was filling out insurance paperwork, rules.
It's all stuff that has to be done.
It does. And so I sat there and in my opinion, any leader, is always recognizing where something may have to change a little bit, right, for the better of the team. And so I went back to our administrative team and talked that through a little bit. And I said, this story about John Deere had a lot of impact on me. And I said, this is not about me. This is about new people as we bring them in. And I said, we got to change our mindset on this. And so we worked together to kind of figure that out. And so, that's really where this came from. And so it's been a lot of fun, and so, tomorrow morning, we'll start at 8:30. And so, we welcome several people throughout the community, Barry Redfern, Sue Crawford, Lisa Hurley, Madonna Mogul, folks that we want them to know who they are, and what is their role within, this great community of York, because we want a name with face, those type of things. Our Board of Education is there, our administrative team is there, and that way they can start to see who these people are. And then what we do is we two things. We talk about impact. When we hire people, especially if they have experience, okay, we really challenge them right away. Bring value to our team. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that I believe that I promote to them, that I really believe you can establish yourself, and I challenge them, is outwork your colleagues.
Oh, man, have a little competition.
Outwork your colleagues.
Yeah.
And again, there's an art and science to teaching. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
We all had those teachers that made a little more difference than some others.
Sure.
And that's not saying the teachers that, didn't make as big a difference. That's nothing against them.
Right.
We all connect in different ways to different teachers, and that's going to happen forever.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that I think we all can go back to, no matter what job we have, that's the superintendent. I challenge the admin team, outwork me. You
got it.
and yeah, it is. If that's a healthy competition, I'm okay with that. But I really think that is one way that whether you're a rookie, whether you've been teaching for 15 or 20, that you can come to a new team. And if you can establish yourself with being a hard worker, you know, and people look at you and go, wow, you know, he'll work circles around me. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's very different. Sometimes when people say work harder, it can sound high and mighty almost. Like I'm going to outwork you and I'm going to put you down for it. But it's very clear that outwork just means be a part of the team and raise the team up.
Correct. Yeah. 100%.
It's not a solo mindset. It's not just you. It's we're working hard. You have to work as hard as us.
Yep.
Bring your A game.
100% agree. Yeah, 100% agree. And so those are just conversations that we start with. Because whether we like it or not, we all establish our own reputations.
Yeah.
And in some cases, in some aspects we're in control of that, and in some cases we're not. Those type of things, especially at the administrative level. I learned a long time ago, personally, with me, I've had to make decisions over the years that I know some are not going to agree with.
Sure.
It's a part of it.
Yeah.
And so you got to navigate that, a little bit. And really, I really try to focus on the why. If it's specifically me making a decision, what prompted me to make that decision, and, there's been different moments and times where people will say, well, I just disagree with that. And that's, I've learned to be okay with that,
right.
At different times and so on. But, going back to these new folks is trying to take as much of the paperwork out of it and the rules, I suppose, out of it, and hearing them where they're coming from, what's their background, those type of things. And then what we do is we transition into, it's a sad story, but we transition into a story that actually happened at my alma mater at Broken Bow. And I refer to it as the Anthony Bloom, but probably more respectfully, it is the Anthony Bloom and Zane Harvey story. And so this article the primary focus is on Anthony Bloom, and it was his first year of teaching. He was the boys basketball coach, and he went through that first year. And then the first summer, he took his team to Kearney, to UNK, to a boys basketball camp. And they got done, and they were coming home, and they were around the Ansley area. And unfortunately, there was a driver coming, towards them, and had a medical situation, and came over the center line, and hit head-to-head with the van. The two adults, Anthony and Zane, tragically died on the scene.
I remember this. This was the summer was going into my senior year of high school.
Okay.
And I graduated from Holdridge. And so this was huge news.
Yes.
It was devastating to the Broken Bow community.
It was. So in this story, which you can get on ESPN.com, and I think if you search Anthony Bloom, you're going to get there. There's a segment in this story, though, where the reporter is interviewing Broken Bow teachers. And one of them, he's still a personal friend of mine today. His name is Mike Garner. They were interviewing Mike because Mike was the head football coach at the time. Was good friends with Anthony. Those type of things. And Mike had a daughter that Mike reported to the reporter and said, basically his daughter said this is, how can a person that's only been here for so long make such a difference?
Yeah.
Again, it's a sad story, but there's a lot of potential there, of a learning moment, of a conversation, with these new folks coming in. And so at that time, really what we transitioned to is I have them talk about who is that teacher, who is that teacher that made a difference, and what is it about them, what is it about them, and what can you take from them, and instill in your own, methodology or your relationship building skills or whatever that is. And it's a pretty powerful, let's just say 10 minutes or so,
sure.
As you listen, and then all the common themes that we talk about at the end. And obviously one of the biggest themes is whatever they did, it really came down to a relationship. And so that's ultimately what we focus on. And then I think one of the funner things too then is it's in my office area. And then what we do is we pull up one of our buses. And one of the things that we learned over the years is we have teachers that, if it's an elementary teacher, they may not have ever been in our high school.
Oh, goodness.
Right. And so we've really tried to promote that team concept versus silos in each building.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're successful and sometimes we're not. We consider ourselves a medium-sized school, not necessarily a small, definitely not a big, those type of things. And so one of the things we talked about several years ago is we need our new folks to be in each building. And so that's what we do. And so we hop in a bus and we tour each school. And then we thought it's important too, this community gives back to YPS a ton.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it looks and feels different, all the time. And we're very appreciative of that, And so one of the things that we feel like that we can do to give back to our community is making sure that our new folks realize this is what York has. Because I don't think many people that have lived here for a while quite understand, of just the different things that are here if you don't point them out.
Yeah.
So we take them, we take them by the hospital. We take them up into the industrial park. We take them over to the manufacturing area. We take them around NPPD, those type of things.
Yeah.
We try to focus on a couple different areas in the community that are being developed with new housing, those type of things. Because obviously we're seeing a little bit of growth, within York when it comes to housing and so on.
Yeah.
And we want them to make York a home. And so, we also know housing is
tough.
Is tough. It's tough. And so we talk about those things and because we want them, invested in YPS and in the York community.
Well, it's very interesting hearing you talk about first day orientations for new teachers because we've all had a job where you feel like a cog in the machine. It's okay. You show up, you clock in, do your thing, get out. And there are plenty of people who have lived by the mantra of I'm going to do this so that way when the weekend comes, I can do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it sounds like your big focus is making sure that everyone who comes into YPS is a member of the community as soon as possible.
Correct.
Because teachers are servants, like they are serving the community. They're given their everything. Servants is not the right word to say, but they are giving everything to their community. And so to show the community giving back, I can only imagine how much of a relief that is compared to, okay, fill out all this paperwork. Now give your entire being to this community. Right. Hope you see it eventually.
Yeah. And, we realize we have many. Not me. We have some. We have some teachers that don't live within the York community, and there's various reasons why. Those type of things, and some of it is a spouse situation.
Sure.
Those type of things, and so really what we just try to say and when it talks about serving your community is if you're not in the York community, serve whatever community that is, because that's how communities survive.
Yeah.
Is that servant, leadership-minded attitude. And so, but again, we want to focus on their transition, day one, welcome to our team, add value to our team, and then showing them the community, we feel like has been a great change.
Awesome. And then paperwork day 2.
Right. Yeah.
Because eventually paperwork's got to get done.
That's correct. Yeah. We try to get it taken care of as the summer transitions in, those type of things. So it's
you're sending emails being like, hey, could you just, correct. I know you're not hired, like you're hired, but you're not on our payroll yet. Fill these out. Just go for it.
We want, we know when that afternoon, because then then they go meet with the building principal, and just go through some building things. And that's, that has to happen. But they're going to be, they're going to be mentally exhausted, at the end of day one. But really one of our goals is when they go home, if they have a spouse, if you have a significant other, whatever their situation is, if they're talking about it or if they're thinking about it, they say, that was a good day.
Absolutely. That's really cool. I've never, my wife has gone to a couple different schools and it's never gone like that,
Right.
And so it's very cool to hear that this is how York is handling new teachers coming in. And it feels like just hearing how excited you are about it just gets me fired up for it as well. Yeah. So tomorrow or Wednesday is the first day for new teachers. First day that returning teachers get back is Thursday. First day of school is next Wednesday, the 14th. Yep. Man, oh man, things are really firing up and getting going here.
Summer always goes fast.
It always does. Well, thank you so much for coming in and chit-chatting about what's going on. I'm excited to have this be a series with a number of people from York Public Schools.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see what happens moving forward.
You bet. Thanks for having me.